Nowadays, automatic cars became so much more popular than manual cars, especially here in North America. In fact, 99% of all new cars sold today in the US and Canada are all automatics. And even though I think that manual cars are more fun and engaging, you can still shift your gears manually in your automatic car. And of course, based on your car's automatic transmission and manufacturer, your manual mode experience will vary a lot. So let's actually break it all down. How to actually shift your automatic transmission, and what are some different types of auto transmissions. And finally, we will discuss why you should actually use a manual mode in your car and how it can be useful and fun. So let's start with the basics. How to actually shift your automatic transmission. So as you can see here, I have park, reverse, neutral, drive, and sport mode. So if I go to drive and I start moving, making sure there's no one around, as you can see, I can push my lever to the right, and this is how my manual mode is activated. So now I'm in second gear, as you can see. So if I want to go up a gear, I push it up because there's a plus there. Now we are in third gear. If I want to go down a gear, I pull it down. So most automatic cars will have a lever like this, and you will be able to push your lever to the side to activate the manual mode. So again, the minus sign is for shifting down, the plus sign is for shifting up. So for example, in my car, even if I'm staying still, I can push it up, and now we are second gear. And if I can push it down, and now we are in the first gear. So this is the basic operation, and usually in more sportier cars, you will have the order in reverse. So you'll have the minus sign on the top and the plus sign on the bottom. And I think this is actually how it's supposed to work, because if you think about it, let's imagine we are coming towards the corner, we want to slow down and shift down. We are inevitably having an inertia, so we are going forward. So we want to push it up to change the gear down. But in most of the cars, and in my car, it's the other way around, which is fine. And the other way you'll be able to shift manually in your car is using the paddle shifters. So as you can see in my car, I don't have any paddles behind my steering wheel, but let me show you a couple of videos I made with the cars I was driving, which had paddle shifters. And they will actually operate the same way, so there's no difference between using the gear lever or the paddle shifters. And when you are using paddle shifters, the left one is for shifting down and the right one is for shifting up. But depending on your car and manufacturer, your manual mode experience will vary significantly. Because some automatic gearboxes will allow you to be more sporty, they will be more responsive when you downshift or upshift. It will widely depend, again, on your car. And that's why we should talk next about different types of automatic transmissions. And the first one I wanted to talk about is the CVT. And for those of you who don't know, the CVT means continuously variable transmission. My car doesn't have a CVT, but most economy cars have nowadays with automatic transmissions, just like Toyota Corolla, Honda Civic, many Subarus. And if you don't know much about the CVTs, they don't actually have any gears. They use a set of belts and pulleys to continuously change the power band. So it kind of acts like an electric car. You're going to have just one gear and it's going to be continuous, so it's not going to be shifting while you are gaining speed. And the upside of it, of course, is fuel efficiency, because it is easier to program a more efficient CVT transmission. And of course, it is much more smoother because you don't have any shift, so you don't feel this clunkiness. But the downside is that when you are using manual mode, it's actually shifting fake gears, and it's not very sporty. The only CVT I know which is kind of responsive and actually pretty good for a CVT is a Subaru WRX transmission. It is actually very, very responsive when you shift down and up. Even though it's faking gears and it's faking those downshift, it still feels pretty sporty and acts just like a DCT. And this is a great segue to the next transmission we're going to discuss, which is a DCT transmission. And for those of you who don't know, DCT means dual clutch transmission. And it is actually using two clutches. one for odd gears and one for even gears. So whenever you are driving in any gear, let's say you're driving in third, it will preload the second and fourth gear for you. So whenever you are upshifting or downshifting, it is much more responsive and snappy. So of course, the great thing about DCTs is that they are more sporty, more responsive, and just more fun to drive. But the downside is that they could be clunky, not smooth, especially at low speeds, because whenever you're driving at low speeds, you can experience the jerkiness while it's slipping the clutch and trying to catch the first gear. So in bumper-to-bumper traffic is not the best transmission, but DCT makes up for it when you are driving in a spirited manner. And let's see a clip I made with the Porsche PDK, which is a Porsche's DCT transmission, and how it actually works and how to actually change gears. So let's actually discuss the transmission that my car is using, which is a torque converter automatic. And let me actually put us into the manual mode so I can illustrate while we are driving. And the torque converter automatic is actually one of the most common transmissions out there. You will see it in pretty much every brand. For example, any mainstream BMW is paired with the ZF8 transmission, which is also a torque converter automatic. And of course, the upside of these transmissions is the fact that they are smooth, they are reliable, and they are very easy to use. They kind of sit in the middle because they are not as smooth as CVTs, but they are smoother than the DCT. But they are a little bit more sporty than a CVT, but less sporty than a DCT. So if you have ever driven a manual car, it will be so much easier for you to understand how manual mode works. But for those of you who don't know, I like to use an example of bicycle gears. I'm pretty sure everyone who's watching this video have driven a bicycle before. So you know that whenever you're going uphill, you need to be in a lower gear. Whenever you're going downhill, you want to be in a higher gear. And if you are on a flat surface, at any certain speed, you want to be in an optimal gear as well. So it works kind of the same in a car. We have the tachometer right here, which tells us about the speed of our engine, and the speed of our engine will be different based on our speed and the gear we're in. So let's say we are driving around 15 miles per hour in first gear, and you can see that it takes 2500 RPM or 3000 RPM to do so. If we upshift, the engine will work less to keep us at 15 miles per hour in second gear. And so on. If we go up third gear, it will take even less RPM to do so. And every car will also have a limit of how much your engine can rev to. So in my car, the limit is about 6,000 RPM. For some cars, it's 7,000, 8,000. It just basically means the maximum amount of work your engine can do in any particular gear. I don't want to go too much into details, but if we want to keep it simple, the lower your RPM, the better its fuel efficiency. The higher the RPM, usually the responsiveness of your engine is better. And why is it better, you will ask? So my engine is naturally aspirated. And that means that it produces the maximum torque and maximum horsepower at around 4,500 RPM. So when we are driving at 1,000 RPM, my engine is not responsive because it doesn't have the full power and full torque available for me right now. And if you're driving your car in the drive mode all the time, it is programmed to be as fuel efficient as possible. So it will try to keep your revs at around 1000 RPM all the time. So if we switch it to a manual mode and drop a couple of gears, so now we are at around 3000 RPM. If I put my foot down, it is very responsive and I can get full power out of my engine. Even if we are not in manual mode, if I put my foot down, it will downshift for me, but it will take more time. And we are in less control because the car does the shifting for us and it will decide for us. But when we are using the manual mode, we are in control and we can decide whichever gear we want to be at. And by the way, if you are enjoying this video and you are learning something new, please leave a like, subscribe, and maybe comment under the video. It will actually be the best thing you can do to help me produce these valuable videos. So let me actually show you an example of when do you want to use a manual mode. And the first one is for spirited and fun driving. So what I like to do, for example, there's no cars, I'm in first gear, and I'll shift myself. It is much more engaging than using a usual drive mode. I feel like it's just much more fun to use a manual mode, and you are basically in control of one other layer of your car. So for example, before the 90-degree turn, I like to be in second gear. I have a yield sign over here. And I can utilize all this power. Isn't that cool and fun? So there's another corner. I will downshift before this corner. We were not even going that fast. We were going at around 35 miles per hour, but it was still fun because we were more engaged and we had more control over our car and over our horsepower and torque. And if it is all new to you, it will take time for you to learn all this stuff. But just to keep it simple, you want to be higher in your rev range to utilize all the power your car has. And usually you want to utilize this power when you're coming out of the corner. And that's why you want to downshift before you come into the corner. So here is the on-ramp entrance. I like to go into third, second here. Go to third. So you will see when we're going to be coming out of the corner, we're going to have more power. Yeah, it's just like driving a manual car. I know you don't have a third pedal, it's less engaging, but still, most people don't even use the manual mode in their automatic cars. And you can have fun like this, even though it's not a DCT, it's not that responsive, you can still have fun on-ramp entrance experience. And again, I'm not saying you must use it if you want to drive spiritedly, but I think if you want to have more fun, you should use it, even though you don't have a DCT transmission or a manual car. You still can drop gears before a corner, still enjoy it. All right, here's another corner. Let's jump into the manual mode, drop a couple of gears. Yep. Gotta slow down before this car in front of us. And after you are done with your corner, you can just go back to normal driving mode and just coast. You don't have to use it all the time. Just before your favorite fun corner, or just before you want to accelerate spiritedly onto a highway, or if you want to overtake someone, just use the manual mode for those kind of moments, and then for the rest of it, just let the automatic transmission do it for you. Even though I personally use the manual mode for spirited driving, there's other things you can do with manual gears to actually help you in everyday driving. For example, I also use it sometimes, and many people do as well, whenever they are going on a mountain trip, let's say, and when they need to go downhill for a long time, it is better to be in a lower gear so that you are going to be utilizing the engine braking instead of relying just on your brakes. Because whenever you are not using engine braking, if you're going downhill for a long time, you're just going to lose all your brakes and you will not be able to stop at some point. There is a definite risk involved. So that's why you want to utilize your engine braking capability by going into a lower gear. One of the other reasons you would like to use manual mode in your car, let's say you are in a tricky situation. You're stuck in the snow. And that's actually happened to me during the winter. I was parking in a snowy location, and when I came back, I wanted to drive home. I was kind of stuck. I was using the normal drive mode to get me out of it, but my tires were just spinning and nothing was working. So what I tried is actually, I went into the manual mode, and as you can see, It starts with the first gear. So in first gear, you'll have more power whenever you just hit on the throttle pedal. So what I actually did is going into the second gear, and as you can see, I'm able to start in second gear in this car. So I was applying pressure to my throttle pedal just slowly, gradually, and I was able to get out of this situation. I probably should have bought winter tires instead of using all seasons, but this works too. Some people don't know that you can use a manual mode to get out of this situation. The other use case I know, which I haven't tried myself because I never tow anything, but I know that for towing, you would also like to be in a certain gear at a certain moment. So some people use the manual mode for towing their stuff. Some people also argue that you can use a manual mode to be more fuel efficient, but what I would say is that this is not true. Automatic transmission is programmed by engineers to be as fuel efficient as possible. If you just want to make a game out of it and just try to be as fuel efficient as possible in manual mode just for fun, you're welcome to do it, but you will not be able to beat the machine. So of course, manual mode in torque converter automatics is not the best and most fun thing ever. It's not a manual driving experience. It's not a DCT driving experience. I know, it is fun if you utilize it right. It is engaging if you utilize it right. And let's say you don't know how manual cars work, how gears work in the transmission. It is a great introduction. You'll be able to play with your gears. You'll be able to understand in which gear you're supposed to be at any certain moment. So whenever you are driving your manual car for the first time, you will know the basics, you will know the theory. Again, manual mode gives you more control. It is more fun, more engaging to use. You can also use it for towing, for getting out of tricky situations like snow or rain. You can use it for engine braking whenever you're going downhill. There's so many situations where you can use a manual mode in an automatic car. So if you think that your car is boring just because it's an automatic, this is just basically not true. Please leave a comment below if you have ever used a manual mode in your car before. Maybe I have missed some of the use cases. And if you're watching this video, I bet you are a good driver or you want to become a better driver. So you should watch this video about the signs of a really good driver. And as always, stay safe out there, keep enjoying the drive, and I'll see you in the next one.